a couple different types of wood. This back here, this is maple wood, and so is the sides. But the top is a spruce wood, and they're different densities, or how hard or soft they are, play a big part in how the cello's sound comes out. So cellos have this harder wood on the back and a softer wood on the front, so that when the strings vibrate and travels through the bridge into the body of the cello, it bounces off the hard wood in the back and then comes out through the softer wood in the front. And depending on what type of woods you use, poplar wood, other different types of trees, you get different sounding cellos and things like that. So there's a lot of science and a lot of hard work that goes into even just what types of woods and things you use for the cello to get the sound.
How much is it?
How much is this one in particular, or generally overall? This is like a medium expensive cello. It's about $4,000 American dollars. But you know, you can. It's basically the sky is the limit. So they say if you want to get the most expensive cello in the world, it might be millions of dollars, because some of these instruments are a couple hundred years old. And with string instruments, at least in the European Western tradition, the older the instrument, if it's really well made and consistently played, the better it will sound. Because with these instruments you have to get the wood used to vibrating at certain pitches. And so if a really talented player is playing the instrument and they play all of their pitches in tune, the instrument itself gets used to vibrating at those pitches and will resonate better every time that you play it. And so all of these really expensive old instruments that the best players have been playing for years and years, just sound better and better, and that's why they can get so expensive. So I'm going to start out by just playing a Western piece by one of my favorite composers. This is a famous cello suite by Johann Sebastian Bach, and he lived a couple hundred years back. And this is a series of 6 suites, and at this time period in Western composition, the styles of music that they would write, if they wrote a solo suite for an instrument like the cello, then they'd have a couple different movements which were dances. And so you might have an allemande, or a courante, or a gavotte, and all of these dances had particular corresponding dance routines that dancers would do in the court. So this was court music of the time. And these would then be opened up, a suite would be opened up by a prelude. So that's what I'm going to play for you. And this doesn't necessarily have any dance moves that would go with it, but it's just something to get you into the mood of the suite and get ready for the rest of the pieces that will come after.
That's a piano. Here.
Yeah. So one of the things that makes the cello so popular as an instrument is that it encompasses the entire human voice range. So when you guys sing, both of the male and female voice ranges are covered in this instrument. And that's actually how the Western string instruments found their beginnings, is that we had this vocal tradition throughout some different periods, like the Renaissance up to the Baroque period. And in these times, the main instrument was the voice, always. And then the string instruments came around to double the voice parts in. So whatever you guys would be singing for the piece, the string instrument would play the same exact lines. And then eventually, these instruments started to develop their own solo instrumental traditions. And so this is an earlier example of what was written for the cello shortly after they separated from purely being to accompany the voice, things like that. So I'm gonna switch gears a little bit here and play a piece I haven't played in quite a while, but I'll play it for you guys today, just to give you an example of how this instrument can sound when it's doing something not of its own tradition. So I spent the last few years learning Chinese music and things like that. So you guys know the Chinese fiddle, the erhu, maybe? I'll be playing one of the most famous ballads of that instrument, but on the cello, so you can get an idea of how this instrument sounds playing something that isn't like Bach or Western music. This piece was written by a really famous fiddler who was blind, but he wasn't blind for his whole life. And when he was young, his father taught him music, and he taught him a couple different instruments like flute and the fiddle. And this piece is about him when he's in his old age and blind and has lived a full long life, reminiscing about this lake that he used to live by with the moonlight shining over the lake. And so it's kind of a sad tune because he can no longer see anymore, and he's getting to the end of his life, and so he's just remembering when he was young and used to look out over the lake with the moon. Did you guys
That's really good.
you guys notice any differences between the old piece from Germany that we heard versus this little fiddle piece from China? Did you guys notice what any of the main differences were between those two traditions? Can anybody tell me? Something that they might have heard that was a little bit different between those two pieces?
First music is full loop, but second music is two loop. I don't know.
First music you use high, but
Sure.
second music is you use low.
Yeah, and it's a little bit backwards. The lower I go on the fingerboard, technically the higher the pitch is. So yeah, I was in the low register here, high on the fingerboard, and then since I was playing a little fiddle tune, yeah, up in the high register. You guys tell me anything about the types of notes that I was playing in the first piece versus the second piece, and the types of ornamentation or how the lines were different at all?
Oh,
I don't.
Oh, sorry. Well, just in the notes in the first piece versus the second piece, did you notice anything in the way that the notes were played from one note to the next, as far as? Well, so
Sorry.
yeah, the first piece versus the second piece. Yeah, just the differences between the East and the West tradition, I guess is what I was going after, is that in the Chinese piece you had a lot of ornamentations of the notes through sliding, things like that. As opposed to the first piece I played, you wouldn't do that, you would just... Here's a little example. I'm going to continue to show you guys a little bit of what the instrument sounds like in other traditions by doing some Indian style music. So in North India, they have a classical music tradition that is just as old as the Chinese classical or the Korean or the Japanese classical music traditions, and in this tradition they improvise as opposed to playing. So here I've been playing off of the sheet music, right? So I'm going to put that away now, so you don't need it for Indian music. Now, Indian music, like a lot of music traditions from around the world, is taught purely by the mouth and by the ears, so it's an oral tradition. And what they do is they have certain scales or modes, like in both of these pieces. In the first piece, the scale that I was playing it's just a beautiful minor mode. And they might use something like that scale in India, but they call it a raga. And it becomes more than just the scale. It becomes a whole mood and atmosphere that you try and create. And they have certain times of the day that you should play certain scales or ragas during certain times of the day. And what you do is you improvise, and you play whatever is in the moment off the top of your head with this one particular mode. And in the first piece I played, like in the Western style, we have different chords that we shift between. This is our harmony. And you don't find that in the Indian music. They just stick to that one scale for the whole time. Not too different from the Chinese tune. That was all in one mode the whole time, which is... So I'll do a little bit of Indian style for you guys so you can hear how the cello sounds like that. So maybe just a little bit more Bach, just so we can hear what the Western sounds like again, out of all that.